Tonight, the hunt is on for 1,844 inmates after they escaped following an early morning attack on the Imo prison in Owerri. The police headquarters in the state capital was also attacked. President Buhari describes the attack on the correctional center and police headquarters in Imo State as an act of terrorism. Police Inspector General says IPOB is behind the attacks, orders security reinforcement in Imo State. 5 of the 39 students abducted from the Forestry College in Kaduna have been found. Parents of kidnapped students fault government's rescue plan. And the death toll in the Indonesia and East Timor floods climbed to over 100. Plus business, sports, news from Abuja, and later international news from our London studios.
On business news tonight, commercial banks reconnect MTN subscribers to USSD payment channels after reaching agreement with network provider on 4.5% service charge.
On sports news tonight, all set as Vice President Yemi Osinbajo will officially declare the 20th National Sports Festival open tomorrow in Benin City.
And from Abuja, residents of the nation's capital seek alternative spots for Easter celebration as Millennium Park remains locked owing to the COVID-19 pandemic.
One 1,844 is the number of inmates who escaped from the Nigeria Correctional Center in Owerri, the Imo State capital, today after gunmen attacked the facility. The inmates broke out of jail after the facility was attacked with explosives, setting the buildings on fire and burning no fewer than 50 vehicles within the premises. The headquarters of the police in Imo State was also attacked. The correctional center and police headquarters are less than 350 meters from the government house. Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma has visited the scene of the incident and has condemned it in strong terms. Our correspondent, Eyitope Kuti, reports.
The usually bubbling streets of Owerri is deserted as most residents remain indoors and businesses closed. Monday, April the 5th, a day to remember for residents of Imo State who woke up to the news of an attack on the Nigeria Correctional Service and the Imo State Police Command headquarters, freeing about 1,844 inmates and destroying property worth millions of naira. At both facilities, what is evident are shattered windows, burnt vehicles, burnt offices, documents and buildings all touched. Prison authorities in the state confirmed the operation lasted for hours.
You can see the extent of the damage so far. You can see our burnt vehicles and things equally affected the building. However, I want to assure you people that at the appropriate time, when we get our facts together, we'll be able to address you people on this issue.
Then Governor Hope Uzodinma immediately convenes an emergency meeting with heads of security agencies in the state. After the meeting, which lasted about an hour, the governor then leads the team on a tour of the affected facilities where he condemned the incident in strong terms.
I want to assure our people the intention is to put fear into our people and make them vulnerable. But I can assure you that government, working with security agencies, will rise to the occasion and get to the end of the matter. I've already commissioned a detailed investigation into this incident with a view to finding out the perpetrators and the masterminds of this ugly incident.
Residents say they still live in fear of the unknown.
This is our 60 years now. We are talking about security, we are talking about infrastructure, we are talking about things that are not supposed to be done. So it's so painful in everything.
There should be an adequate security so that the people's life will be safe and people working in, because if you see majority of everybody now, everybody is working with fear, but I believe the government should create more security.
This is the 5th time the Nigerian police is recording an attack on its facility in Imo State within the last 2 months by gunmen. Hopefully, the government and security operatives will match words with action to ensure that the perpetrators are brought to book to put an end to this ugly trend. Eyitokwekutei, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the presidency has described the attack on the police command headquarters and correctional facility in Owerri as an act of terrorism. In a statement, the president's media aide, Garba Shehu, says that President Muhammadu Buhari has directed security agencies to go after the perpetrators. The president also praised the initial response by security guards and security forces for preventing greater loss of life and destruction of public property. He also called for the best efforts to be made to rearrest fleeing prison detainees, many of whom, according to him, are believed to be deadly criminals. President Buhari then appealed to members of the public to assist law enforcement with any relevant information that could lead to the apprehension of the criminals who perpetrated the act. Staying with the story, in line with the President's directive, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Mohammed Adamu, has ordered the strengthening of security in Imo State with the deployment of additional units of police mobile force and other police tactical squads to the state. The IGP also directed the Commissioner of Police and a special investigation team to fish out the perpetrators. According to him, preliminary investigations reveal that the attackers are members of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra and Eastern Security Network. According to the police chief, the attempt by the attackers to gain access to the police armory at the headquarters was resisted by police operatives who repelled the attacks. Meanwhile, one of the operational vehicles of the attackers has been recovered by the police. The IGP described the incident as an attack on the soul of Nigeria, enjoining leaders in the state, the southeast and other parts of the country to speak out against unfolding violence and criminality. Neighboring Abia State is taking precautions. Governor Okezie-Ikpeazu has imposed a curfew on the state's capital, Umuahia, and the commercial town of Aba between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. until further notice. The state government has said that the decision follows security reports received from multiple sources, but did not give details of what the security reports entailed. The statement adds that there is a need to continue to protect innocent citizens and residents in the state, while security agencies have been directed to ensure strict enforcement and compliance with the directive. Only those on essential services and with proper identification are exempted from the curfew. We move to the northern part of the country now in Kaduna State, where 5 of the 39 kidnapped students of Federal College of Forestry Mechanization have been found. The state government said in a statement that the students are currently undergoing medical checkup at a military facility, while efforts are currently ongoing to secure the release of the others. The State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Mr. Samuel Arwan, says the state government will provide updates on further operational feedback on efforts to rescue the remaining 34 students who are still in captivity. The students were kidnapped 25 days ago. However, parents of the remaining 34 abducted students have vowed to go ahead with negotiating with the bandits to secure the release of their wards, irrespective of the stand of the state government against doing so. The Kaduna State government yesterday vowed to prosecute anyone caught negotiating with bandits on its behalf, insisting its earlier position that it will not pay any ransom or negotiate with the bandits other than to wipe them out still stands. But the parents of the abducted students faulted the state government for issuing such a warning.
It's 25 days since the 34 students of the Federal College of Forestry, Afaka in Kaduna State, were abducted from their hostels by bandits. Yet there are no signs of their return, as parents of the students gather at the college premises for a prayer session seeking God's intervention for the safe return of their children.
But for that reason, Father, we want to believe that you there over every one of us.
Among their prayers is for God to touch the heart of the bandits so that they can release the students unconditionally.
Let them know that tomorrow we speak against them. So if they are able to consider
the recent warning by the Kaduna State government against all forms of negotiations with the bandits is also getting a negative reaction from the parents. Friday Sani, whose 2 children were among the abducted students, insists the parents will do anything possible to get the children out of captivity, including negotiating with the bandits no matter the consequences.
You say no negotiation, and yet from the security outfit we are not getting any good report, positive response as to whether there is an attempt for rescue.
We need government to assist us on this matter. If they are bringing such kind of statement, what is our hope? So that means we don't have hope from getting our children back. If the government can come out and issue this kind of statement.
But then the Kaduna State government is insisting it will neither pay ransom nor negotiate with the bandits until they are wiped out of the state.
We will neither negotiate with criminals of any description nor support any grant of amnesty to them. Criminal gangs, bandits, insurgents, and ethno-religious militias made a conscious choice and decision to challenge Nigeria's sovereignty and menace our citizens. These criminals must be wiped out immediately and without hesitation.
For the parent of these abducted students, securing their release irrespective of whichever means is what is paramount to them in this moment of grief.
Insecurity is also concerned for residents of Michika community in Adamawa State, and they're appealing to the state and federal governments to beef up security in the community following fears of attacks by Boko Haram insurgents. According to them, the popular Kwame Cultural Festival, which holds during Easter celebration, could not hold this year for security reasons. At the peak of attacks by the insurgents, the people of Michika fled their ancestral homes but have returned only a few years ago.
Michika local government area of Adamawa State has had its fair share of attacks by Boko Haram terrorists, but there has been a lull in violence in the local government, which boosts the confidence of the Kamwe tribe to go ahead and put together one of its most important events of the year, the Kamwe Cultural Festival. The event is aimed at fostering peace and unity and restoring the livelihood of this community affected by insurgency and to help trauma of victims. But everything changes with this message from the chairman of the planning committee that security agents are warning of an impending attack on the community.
We got an information yesterday that there is a security threat that Boko Haram will come into the town, and so we should postpone it. That's what they told us. We are not happy, but since they said it's an insecurity issue, we cannot go against their statement.
It's devastating news for a community that had worked for months to perfect this project, as Kamwe's sons and daughters converged on the seemingly peaceful administrative headquarters of Michika local government area before news broke that it's no longer possible. Security operatives take over the venue to ensure no one gains access.
There are 2 big markets in Michika holding today. The central market in the city center, you people can go and view it, it's filled up to capacity. The cattle and grain market in Jidel is filled to capacity. The People's Democratic Party, Michika local government, is holding the stakeholders meeting in Michika today. Does it mean that the insecurity is affecting the cultural day? What of the market? I mean, this is pure politics.
To portray a community to be not skewered, I think is one thing that His Excellency, the Governor Umar Fintri, need to really take note of that. To really look into this issue of how unsecure the place is, because he is our son, he's from a nearby community, Madagali. So whatever that affects this is really not a good thing for us.
For many indigenes of Michika, the festival and what it aims to achieve is laudable. However, they caution that the threat by Boko Haram should be taken with all seriousness, as it may lead to serious repercussions for the community.
In part 2, after the break, we'll be taking a look at the strike by resident doctors, and President of the Nigeria Medical Association weighs in on the industrial dispute. Join us again. Welcome back. If it has joined us, watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. The hunt is on for 1,844 inmates after they escaped following an early morning attack on the Imo prison in Owerri. The police headquarters in the state capital was also attacked. President Buhari describes attack on correctional center and police headquarters in Imo State as act of terrorism. Police Inspector General says IPOB is behind the attacks, orders security reinforcement to Imo State. 5 of the 39 students abducted from the Forestry College in Kaduna have been found. Parents of kidnapped students fought government's rescue plan. And death toll in the Indonesia and East Timor floods climb to over 100. Away from security issues, resident doctors are not backing down on their ongoing strike, which has now entered its 5th day. The doctors are demanding, among other things, the immediate payment of all salaries owed to all house officers, including March salaries, regardless of the quota system. Now, many government-owned hospitals are no longer busy, as the health workers there only attend to emergencies.
Silence, anger and frustration are some of the words that can be used to describe the feelings of many Nigerians who are aware of the strike by resident doctors in Nigeria, which started on Thursday, 1st of April 2021. The clamour for an increase in the hazard allowance of resident doctors is the main issue for the strike, and also the complete absence of doctors in the hospital environment. However, it's not all tales of woes, as some relatives of sick persons say that in the absence of resident doctors, the nurses and consultant doctors have been feeling the vacuum created by the doctors' strike.
Before the doctor went for strike, everything was okay. Even now, the nurses were trying to reciprocate their efforts. In my hope, I think the management or the authority should strategize the possible solutions so that they could call off the strike.
For now, it's not clear when the impasse between the doctors and the federal government will be resolved. The doctors insist they will not return to work until all their demands are met. The government is, however, threatening to invoke the no work, no pay rule. The question now is, who blinks first?
In the meantime, the president of the Nigerian Medical Association, Professor Innocent Uja, is asking authorities concerned to approach negotiations with striking doctors with sincerity of purpose. According to him, this would also resolve the issue of brain drain in the country. Professor Uja was guest on our breakfast show, Sunrise Daily.
Minister of Labour, and very clearly, and also Minister of Health, are we going to say that it's the fault of the president? I expect the president to call them to order, because they are drawing Nigerian health system into the mud, and it's not very nice. But the issue is that the government should be prepared, to ensure that they do the right thing. I think that is the issue, that and the Dr. NMA doesn't have any problem with it. Like I said, for the past 21 years, NMA has not gone on strike. But the issue is that NRD is an affiliate of the Nigerian Medical Association, and we should be interested in what happens to them, which is peculiar to them. And even then, some of these are not even peculiar to them. Some of them extend to all doctors in this country. So what we need to do is government to demonstrate sincerity of purpose and be serious, so that these things can be sorted out once and for all, and then we forget about issue of hazard allowance, or because doctors are leaving this country, many more will leave unless the environment, the work environment, is made conducive.
We'll have more on the situation of the doctors' strike in other states in a moment, but as part of efforts to forestall another industrial action, the Minister of Education, Mr. Adamu, has invited officials of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, to an emergency meeting following the threat by the union to embark on another round of strike action. In a statement, the ministry explains that the emergency meeting is to hold tomorrow, April 6th, at its headquarters in Abuja. ASU had issued a notice of strike over what the union describes as the refusal of government to implement some of the agreements entered into between it and the federal government. The union had called off a 9-month-old strike in January this year. The Ishekiri Traditional Council has announced the passing of the Olu of Warri Ogiame Ikenwole. The Yasiri of Warri Kingdom, who is customarily saddled with the responsibility of breaking the news, broke 3 earthen pots containing white native chalk on the floor, followed by 20 cannon shots to announce the demise of the late king, who reigned for 5 years. Meanwhile, the 37-year-old Prince Utieri Nonsesola Emiko was presented as the successor to the throne. Prince Emiko is a serial entrepreneur. Our plans have begun for his coronation. What does celebrating outdoor mean to you these days, especially since the outbreak of COVID-19? Our correspondent Dari Dore reports that a lot has changed since the last Easter celebration, and one way to find out is by visiting recreational centers.
Desolate, quiet, flashback images of recreational centers taken during the last Easter holidays show neither human activities nor the usual excitement. A year after, the celebration is returning in full blast and life is going back the way many used to know it. The playgrounds and parks are buzzing with children and adults in celebratory mood. Emmanuel is out with his family. He says he's missed the experience.
The last year was an indoor thing. We couldn't go out. So today I decided to let me just go out with my kids. My wife's at home. Let's see how it is outside. And I did something good to come out to experience what people are feeling about the holiday and the reason for the season. So we're happy to be here and we're having our fun together.
A scan through this garden in Alausa area of Lagos shows that the families are not ready to let go of the Easter time tradition.
The beach has always been the go-to place to find a large number of fun seekers, and this Easter celebration has provided that opportunity for many to spend quality time with family and friends in a way they've not been able to in a while. Now, many are getting soaked in that excitement.
For some, just sitting at the seaside to relish the soothing breeze and the scenery is enough. Many caught in their elements, enjoying the music playing on the sideline, blended with the wave tune provided by the sea.
It's been like 10 years I've been here. So myself and my bestie, my daughter, my bestie daughter, we are just here to have the wonderful fun.
This year, Easter celebration has taken a form different from last year as many get vaccinated amid shrinking number of COVID-19 cases. But the government is also advising against people letting down their guard, especially at this time. Dari Ido, Channels Television News.
To the reality for many doctors across the country. Hospital wards have been deserted in other states across Nigeria as doctors continue to press home their demands. Kwara, Edo and Taraba states have striking doctors saying they will not sheath their swords until their demands are met. On March 31st, 2021, the ultimatum given to the federal government by the National Association of Resident Doctors to meet its demands expired with no significant progress. And on April 1st, the body proceeded on an indefinite strike. At the University of Benin Teaching Hospital, members of the association are complying with a strike meant to drive home their demands for improving working conditions.
I'm sure you can see
Dr. Ifeanyi is the president of the Association of Resident Doctors of Nigeria, UBTH branch. He says a situation where doctors work and do not get paid to meet their basic needs is nothing short of slavery.
I'm a workaholic. I love being at work. I love seeing my patients. I'm a surgeon. I love seeing my patients. But when you have to stay away from work because you are not being paid, it's sad, you know. And then the next thing they will tell us is no work, no pay. But I think it's better not to work and not being paid than to work for months and not being paid. I mean, for many of us, it's not going to be any difference if they say they're not going to pay us anymore because we have not been paid.
Hospital.
A patient who visited the hospital complains about the effect of the absence of doctors.
The time is say doctor no, they strike. I can't ask whether I will do the X-ray, make I wait for doctor. They say okay, make me do the X-ray. I don't do the X-ray now. They ask them which day doctor get resume. They say they never know.
In the northern state of Taraba, a visit to some hospitals showed that resident doctors there have joined the strike. For the president of the association in the state, Ahmed Gabriel, the reason for their action is to reposition the nation's healthcare system.
Most of what NAD is agitating about is actually to really help the already decaying health sector. We are trying to actually fix it so that we can offer the best healthcare services to Nigerians.
At the University of Ilorin Teaching Hospital, the story is similar, as resident doctors in that facility have complied with the directive of the national body. The wards are near empty, with only a few patients being attended to by a nurse.
The decision to go on strike is actually an unfortunate one because we felt this strike is actually avoidable if all the government actors have actually played their role the way they should play it. And it's simple. We have our members who have not been paid 3 months' salaries, and all our effort to see government to actually negotiate with us and see how we can go about this and solve it once and for all has actually failed.
This patient wonders why government finds it difficult to tackle the issues in the health sector.
They have lack of staff, especially doctors. Again, patients are many. They don't have staff. And what they are asking for, I want the government to answer them.
It is 5 days into the industrial action by the resident doctors, and there appears to be no end in sight. Hope is rising, however, that doctors, as well as the federal government, will resolve the impasse to give Nigerians a better healthcare system. When the News at 10 returns, find out how some citizens spent Easter Monday in Abuja. Plus, commercial banks reconnect MTN subscribers to USSD payment channels after reaching agreement with the network provider on 4.5% service charge. Join us again. Welcome back to the News at 10. Let's head over now to Abuja for more on the News at 10. Hi, Gloria.
Hello, Amarachi. Welcome to Abuja. Just as fun seekers had a good time celebrating Easter in Lagos, major fun spots in the nation's capital, Abuja, witnessed a low turnout as fun seekers continued to observe COVID-19 precautions. Most residents and fun seekers from neighboring states like Nasarawa and Niger states have resorted to a makeshift arrangement close to the popular Millennium Park, which used to be a beehive of activities but has been shut.
The once bubbly Millennium Park is quiet. This has been the case since last year because of the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. The park is usually a spot for fun seekers from neighboring states to share memorable times with families and friends. But now the story is not the same. Some visitors at the park who are not aware of the policy of the closure of the park are turned back. But just a few meters away from the Millennium Park, we caught up with these fun seekers. They are not excited about the closure of the park, but have found an alternative relaxation spot.
I came with my family and my friend just to have a nice, quiet and small picnic. But we're hoping for the Millennium Park to be opened. Unfortunately, it wasn't, so we decided to come to this space here to relax.
And just across the Millennium Park, some other fun seekers are seen with their families and friends celebrating the Easter holiday. It's not all fun for them, but at least the festivities affords them the opportunity to unwind.
When we are leaving our house, we are thinking we are going to Millennium Park, but the Millennium Park is totally closed. But we thank God this place is open. We came here to relax ourselves, and this place is boring, but we thank God, but we still prefer it like that. We not go home in vain.
It's not too okay that they just lock up the whole place. Government should please relax it. Let people come and relax. So far you obey the rules, wearing of your face mask, sanitizer, everything like that. It's okay.
While the public holiday offers Nigerians the opportunity to reunite with their families and friends, they hope to put in their best when work resumes after all the fun that goes with the Easter break.
Meanwhile, residents of Paduma community, a suburb in the Federal Capital Territory, are asking the federal government to provide basic infrastructure for the area as they celebrate Easter. They're also asking for financial intervention from the federal government to enable artisans improve on their skills and reduce the high rate of unemployment in the community.
A Paduma community in the nation's capital, with an estimated population of about 3,000 people, shares boundaries with the highbrow Asokoro district. The two areas, however, are a sharp contrast of each other in terms of infrastructure. Bad roads and poor drainage system is the first thing one would recognize while taking a walk around the community. It's a day after the Easter celebration and the residents are back to their businesses. Predominantly artisans, the residents all have one major complaint, and that is the lack of power supply, basic amenities and infrastructure. They say these setbacks did not affect their Easter celebration.
We had a Easter celebration. Honestly, the celebration was so good. There were parties, so many corners.
The issue of light, we don't have stable power supply all the time. Like they are sharing it zone by zone. This zone, like my left side, they will have light this week. The other side, they will not have light. So if the government can provide another transformer, it can go a far way to help the community.
They are also calling for government intervention and also for the creation of jobs for youths.
You get plenty youth with the grant, we no get handwork. And I want my government help them. May you try to get work.
Security is also a major challenge facing the community as they live in fear of armed robbers.
We are having big challenge of security. Armed robbers always attack every houses. Like day before yesterday, armed robber attack and injure almost on the weekly basis. We have challenge of security. That is being our first problem. We have a bridge cut off to connect the other community so that we can move to the Krodoma 1 to Krodoma 3. The bridge cut off. Nobody to come out. And I wonder, when is the day of vote? We come out in masses. We vote for government.
After the merriment of the Easter celebration, life returns to normal for the residents of this community. Their greatest desire is that the government will address their plight and provide the necessary infrastructure.
For members of the Household of God Church, it is yet another time of the year to give thanks to God for the Easter celebration and another opportunity for them to come together as a family in church. Unlike last year when the country was locked down owing to the COVID-19 pandemic. The founder of the Household of God Church, Senior Pastor Chris Okotie, says the resurrection of Jesus Christ will heal the nation and take Nigeria to its glorious days.
It's the 2021 Household of God Church Easter service. This year's service has taken a different turn owing to the limitations of indoor gatherings, leaving church members with no other choice than to hold the service outdoors. The atmosphere around this outdoor vicinity is one of praise and worship. Overseer of the church, Pastor Chris Okotie, engages the congregation with Bible passages.
Yes, I am. To my king, the city, Lord, get it down, the city. In the beginning, Elohim, God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit created the heavens and the earth. I came here tonight to say this very clearly without any ambivalence or equivocation, that there is only one creator.
Then comes this drama presentation depicting Jesus' resurrection. Pastor Okotie also takes time to explain the meaning of resurrection with an affirmation that Nigeria will rise again.
The foundation for his return is based on the anastasis, what is called resurrection, the standing up again. And we give God all the praise that power beyond our wildest imagination of phantasmagoria was released to raise Jesus from the dead and to set him at the right hand of the Majesty on high. So Nigeria will rise again, no matter where we are, whether we are at the bottom or at the doldrums. Anastasis guarantees a resurrection, a resuscitation, a rejuvenation. Nigeria will yet be recruited and ready to do that which it was called to do.
Easter is one of the most important events for Christians around the world, as it marks the resurrection of Jesus Christ after he was crucified on Good Friday.
It is the dance we do when we come to pray. Now what you gotta do.
Well, that's it from Abuja. It's over now to Anne Nwaodo in Lagos for business news.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Gloria. Happy Easter and welcome to Business News. Less than 1 week after blocking MTN Nigeria from using the unstructured supplementary service data, some commercial banks have reconnected the network subscribers to the payment channel after resolving the current USSD impasse with the operator. The mobile network service provider, which reduced banks' commission to around 2.5%, agreed after a virtual meeting with heads of banks to revert to the initial 4.5% service charge. A letter by MTN's managing director, Carl Toriola, also stated that a meeting has been scheduled to hold in a bid to agree on several options that will result in the costs. The dispute led to the intervention of the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Issa Pantami, who promised that all issues will be resolved. Some economists are optimistic about Nigeria's growth, and they are now projecting that the economy will grow by as much as 2.54% this year. And that's according to Mr. Biodun Adedipe, the chief consultant at B. Adedipe and Associates, who also stressed the need for authorities to focus on stimulating economic activities. Dr. Adedipe was speaking on our Business Morning program today.
The recovery is weak. That's the reality. And what that tells you is that the concern should be more about stimulating economic activities, which means the government must still look for resources to stimulate the economy, either in terms of direct fiscal stimulus or indirect by way of certain concessions and maybe incentives that are not monetary in nature. So what this means essentially is that you want to drive economic activities, but you must also ensure that this time around, the stimulus is well targeted. Yes, we did well in 2020 responding to the state of the economy, but targeting means you look at the economy, look at the fact that the informal sector is big, and then look at the fact that a large number of your people are at the bottom of the pyramid, which means the focus in terms of getting this economy growing strongly and inclusively should be at the bottom of the pyramid. And I say Nigerian economy that will likely grow this year by about 2.54%. That's my projection for the year. So that is way, way above what the World Bank and IMF are projecting. We did the same thing last year. They got it wrong, and we got it right. Okay? And that was not the first time. So, but my view as an optimistic Nigerian and understanding what happens here locally is that this economy will do about 2.54% this year.
The group of 24 nations is urging international financial institutions, especially the IMF and the World Bank, to ensure the availability of necessary liquidity and fiscal support for developing countries. A statement by chair of the G24 explains that the group welcomes a proposal for new allocation of IMF special drawing rights, which could support country liquidity needs. He also called on the World Trade Organization and multilateral development banks to seek solutions to scale up production of vaccines, including addressing intellectual property rules to expand manufacturing. That's Business News Tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. It's back to you, Marachi.
Thanks a lot, Anne. Specialist police divers looking for missing student, 19-year-old Richard Okoroge, have reportedly found a body in a pond and are currently working to establish the identity. The police divers today began search for clues in the disappearance of Richard, who was said to have gone missing on March 22nd after leaving his family home in the Ladbroke Grove area of West London on the evening of that day. According to his parents, who are of Nigerian descent, the teenager who has sickle cell disease was struggling to cope with lockdown. The Metropolitan Police in London have been appealing for information from the public that would lead them to the whereabouts of Richard. The death toll is rising from the flash floods and landslides that hit Indonesia and East Timor on Sunday, with authorities reporting at least 113 deaths. At least 86 people have died in Indonesia alone, with dozens still missing, while East Timor is reporting at least 27 deaths. Indonesian President Joko Widodo has offered his condolences and called on the people to follow the advice from officials during extreme weather periods. Simon Pusey has more international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has said he has received assurances from US President Joe Biden that Washington will not abandon Ukraine in the face of Russian aggression.
Переговорів у мінському та нормандському форматах.
Western nations and transatlantic military alliance NATO have voiced concern over Russian troop movements near the eastern Donbass region, where Ukrainian troops are in conflict with Russian-backed forces. The Kremlin did not deny the recent troop movements, but insisted that Moscow was not threatening anyone and warned against any NATO deployment. Jordan's Prince Hamzah has said he will disobey orders by the army to not communicate with the outside world after he was put under house arrest. The half-brother of King Abdullah II and former heir to the throne has been accused of liaising with foreign parties to destabilize the country. The military said it had issued a warning to the prince over actions targeting security and stability in the kingdom, as Jordanian intelligence had intercepted communications revealing the plot. Some 14 to 16 people have been arrested in connection with the plan. Police in Northern Ireland have come under attack for a third consecutive night amid rising post-Brexit tensions in the region. Cars were set alight and masked people threw petrol bombs and bricks at officers. Tensions have been mounting with Northern Ireland's loyalist community in recent months, with increasing anger about trade deals separating the region from the rest of the UK. A total of 27 officers were injured in the clashes across Belfast and Derry. Emergency crews in Florida have been working to prevent a catastrophic flood after a leak had been found in a large reservoir of toxic wastewater. The leak in the containment wall of the 480 million-gallon Piney Point wastewater reservoir prompted Governor Ron DeSantis to declare a state of emergency. The Director of Public Safety for Florida's Manatee County has said that the structural collapse could occur at any time. Israeli protesters have accused Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of illegitimate use of power and of treating favours as currency. Netanyahu appeared in the Jerusalem District Court following an order from judges to appear in court to face charges of bribery, fraud and breach of trust. The Prime Minister denies all wrongdoing in the 3 cases against him, as his supporters and critics held raucous demonstrations outside. Over 100 people have died after flash floods and landslides hit Indonesia and East Timor. Torrential rain sparked widespread destruction in Southeast Asia as water from overflowing dams submerged thousands of homes. Indonesian authorities are evacuating thousands of people who have been driven from their homes following floods and landslides triggered by cyclone Seroja. A Bangladesh ferry carrying around 50 passengers has collided with a cargo vessel and sank in a river south of the capital Dhaka, leaving at least 26 people dead and many more missing. The double-decker ferry, which was packed with people rushing to go to their hometown after the government announced a week-long nationwide lockdown, was hit by a cargo vessel from the rear and immediately sank in the river. India has reported a record rise in coronavirus infections, becoming only the 2nd country after the United States to register more than 100,000 new cases per day. The country's daily infections has risen about 12-fold since hitting a multi-month low in early February. India has now reported 12.6 million cases, the highest after the United States and Brazil. Eritrean forces have started withdrawing from the Tigray region in northern Ethiopia after fighting in a war against the region's fugitive leaders from the Tigray People's Liberation Front. The move comes after mounting reports blaming the Eritreans for human rights abuses, including rape, looting and the killing of civilians. For months, Eritrea and Ethiopia denied the presence of Eritrean troops, despite dozens of eyewitness accounts. And finally, Japanese swimming star Rikako Ikki has defied the odds and secured an Olympics berth 2 years after being diagnosed with leukemia. The 20-year-old won the 100 metres butterfly at Japan's Olympic trials in 57.7 seconds to seal her place. Ikki resumed training in March last year after spending about 10 months in hospital. She battled back to fitness and returned to competition in August last year, but said at the time she was not aiming for Tokyo and that the Paris 2024 Olympics was her comeback goal.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. All is set for the opening ceremony of the 20th National Sports Festival tagged Edo 2020 as the Vice President of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, will officially declare the Games open tomorrow, April the 6th, in Benin City, the state capital. Medals will be competed for in 38 sports with over 3,000 athletes from the 36 states of the Federation. Abia Warriors earlier this evening defeated Plateau United 2-1 to move 10th on the Nigeria Professional Football League log with 27 points. Heartland also defeated Adamawa United by the same scoreline to pick their 7th win of the season. Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola says the club could break their transfer record and spend over £100 million on a player amid speculation over the future of Borussia Dortmund striker Erling Haaland. With Sergio Aguero leaving the Etihad at the end of the season, City have been linked with Haaland in British media reports, and Guardiola will get a closer look at him on the pitch in Tuesday night's Champions League quarter-final first leg. And that sports news is back to you, Marachi.
Thanks, Ayatunde. And the main news again. 1,844 inmates today escaped from the Imo Correctional Center in Owerri after an attack by gunmen on the facility and another attack on the state police headquarters. President Muhammadu Buhari described the attack as an act of terrorism, while the Inspector General of Police said the attack was carried out by the outlawed group IPOB. That is it on the News at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Good night.